Al Capone wasn't just a gangster, in fact. He was an entrepreneur who ran one of the most profitable businesses in American government history. And this business wasn't born thanks to free market conditions, but directly because of a law the government itself created, Prohibition. When the government banned alcohol consumption, it thought it had simply eliminated drinking. But what it actually did was this: it erased legal competition. It created a massive underground market, and it left that market to the boldest people. People didn't stop drinking. On the contrary, they continued to drink in a more expensive and riskier way. Because demand does not disappear overnight. If there is demand, someone will always sell the product. And Capone saw this gap. Capone was born in 1899 in Brooklyn to a poor Italian family. He entered the criminal world at a young age. But the real opportunity appeared in Chicago. Because during Prohibition, Chicago was the heart of the underground economy. Alcohol was no longer just a habit. It had become the new oil, and Capone became the man who controlled that oil. But his business wasn't selling bottles in back alleys. This operation was like a corporate company. He had his own production. He had his own transportation network. He had a distribution system that supplied hundreds of speakeasies. And this system earned him about $100 million a year. In 1920s money. Today, that's nearly $1.5 billion. Capone didn't just make money, he managed it intelligently. He invested in restaurants, nightclubs, and cash flow heavy businesses. He silenced police officers with bribes, neutralized politicians with bribes. At some point, people started to wonder, was Capone a criminal or one of Chicago's biggest employers? His secret wasn't just using violence. His real power was understanding the system. He knew this very well. This money existed because of the law. If the laws changed, everything could end overnight. That's why he got into gambling, prostitution, and other illegal areas. But alcohol always remained at the center, because that's where the profit was. Before Prohibition, alcohol was cheap. After the ban, risk was added to everything: bribes to police, payments to smugglers, fees for carriers. Every risk and every chance of being caught pushed the price up a little more. But people still consumed alcohol because alcohol was embedded in society. And the public didn't care about the price, and Capone understood this better than the government. But this system also created a massive network of corruption and bribery. Money flowed not only to the mafia, but also to police officers, judges, and politicians. Law no longer worked according to justice, but according to who paid the biggest bribe. Events like the 1929 Valentine's Day Massacre were only the visible part of the story. The real power lay in controlling the money. For Capone remained untouchable for a long time, and became known as the man the law couldn't touch. Until the government changed the rules of the game. They couldn't imprison him for alcohol, but they got him on taxes. In 1931, he received 11 years in prison for tax evasion. In the end, a giant empire collapsed because of a single document, Ylan Medin. In 1933, Prohibition was fully repealed. Alcohol became legal and producible again. Prices dropped. Big companies returned. The vast underground economy Capone had built evaporated overnight. And this is where the real lesson begins. Prohibition didn't collapse because criminals were too strong. It collapsed because the economy was too strong. We see the same things today. Marijuana was once completely illegal. Billions flowed underground. Now it's being legalized. Companies are profiting. The state is collecting taxes. Cryptocurrencies also grew for years in a gray zone. Early entrants soared. Now regulation is coming. Big players are entering the field. The message is very clear. When the state squeezes a market, the market does not disappear. It just changes direction. What Capone did was a crime, yes, but his true success was this: he noticed the gap created by the law before anyone else did, and today, those gaps are everywhere: in energy, in crypto, in raw materials. The winners are the ones who spot these gaps early. The conclusion is simple: history is not just the past. The same game is played on a different stage. And if you don't understand history, history will bury you.